Um, Waiting for YouTube at the moment.
I see the YouTube icon.
It's live on YouTube.
Is it? Okay, very good. Mr. Chairman, please proceed.
All set.
Mr. Chairman, we lost your video. John, are you able to hear us?
Yeah, I have to move to another location.
Oh, okay.
I was unstable, so which may be par for the course. But nevertheless, I'm good to go. I'm just getting resituated. So I'd like to make a motion to call the meeting to order.
Very good. Would you like to have the staff and members introduce themselves, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
All right, let's start with the board. And Mr. Chairman, you want to start first? It's your
John
first meeting.
Jastrzemski. John Jastrzemski, Chair of the Board.
Mary?
Mary Creek Dairy Farmer in Hagerstown, Washington County.
Sarah?
I'm Sarah O'Haron. I'm one of the owners of Black Ankle Vineyards in Frederick County.
Charlotte?
Good morning, Charlotte Davis, Executive Director of the Rural Maryland Council.
Matt?
Matt Parker, Aquaculture Business Specialist with the University of Maryland Extension.
AC?
ACL Ray representing rural economic development here on the Lower Eastern Shore in Cambridge.
Steve Conley?
Steve Conley, Deputy Secretary, Maryland Department of Agriculture.
Paige?
Paige Hargett, Ag Lending Manager with Horizon Farm Credit.
Joe?
Joe Malone, Agricultural Programs Manager, Maryland Department of Commerce.
Paul?
Paul Gehringer, Principal Faculty Specialist and Extension Specialist at University of Maryland.
Victoria?
Victoria Brown, Shopko Aquaculture, County.
Phyllis?
Phyllis Kilby, retired dairy farmer from Cecil County.
Baron?
Good morning, Baron Rogers, Coordinator, Small Farm Program here at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore.
Mark?
Mark Krebs, retired CFO, Farmers and Merchants Bank. And I apologize, my camera's not working. If I can figure it out, then you can see my handsome face.
Okay, well, we're glad you're here. Did I miss any board members? All right, let's introduce the staff. I'll start. I'm Steve McHenry, Executive Director. Stacy?
Hi, I'm Stacy Kobopsik, Assistant Director.
Brian?
I'm Brian Cadden, Financial Programs Officer.
Sierra?
Hi, Sierra Chris, Financial Program Specialist.
Tina?
Hi, Tina Wilkins, Senior Accounting Coordinator.
And Menachi?
Hi, Menachi, Office of the Attorney General.
Did I miss any of the staff?
Jill.
Jill?
Jill Zarin, Communications Specialist.
Very good. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Great. This is good to hear. Thank you all for being here this morning. I know it was a while to pick out a date, and I'm glad it came to fruition. So with that, I'd like to ask for approval of the previous minutes. May I make that? Could I call for the question? Or no, I guess I have to ask for a motion in a second.
Move to approve.
Second, Mark Krebs.
Call for the question?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so now we move into member speakers. Charlotte, for the food aggregation and local purchasing agreements that you're working on with the RMC.
Good morning. The Rural Maryland Council issued 2 weeks ago a notice of funding opportunity related to the Rural Health Transformation Program. I'm supposed to disclaim that the Maryland Rural Health Transformation Program is funded through the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, HR 1. It's part of Maryland's award of $168 million. Anything I say is the opinion of me, Charlotte, and not reflecting of the federal government or CMS. So with that out of the way, we did fund, we did offer a NOFO that is out currently on our website, should be up on Emma, the e-marketplace. We are offering 2 funding opportunities. One related to Food Hub and food aggregation sites. Second one under procurement strategies. The applications are due May 15th through our grant portal that's accessible through our website at rural.maryland.gov. We have $4.6 million available for both opportunities. We expect about half of the funds to be divided between the 2 opportunities. Expecting a lot of planning grants. This is a 5-year grant program. However, CMS will be reevaluating after project year 2. We are in project year 1, and then project year 2 will be released this November. So we anticipate re-releasing this NOFO in November. I'm looking for activities that we're expecting under this program, and I'm not putting my hands on it. We did do a webinar specific to this opportunity. It's recorded and on our website. We are, let's see, looking for things like vehicles, equipment. We can do some renovation costs and training. We can do software expenditures related to this program. Funds can't be utilized to purchase food or to purchase property or to construct new facilities. However, we can renovate existing facilities. The idea is to increase access for rural Marylanders to local food, empowering them to eat for health. So for applicants that are able to show health outcomes, they'll get a preference, not required. Also, a match is not required for this grant opportunity. Eligible applicants are going to be nonprofits, units of local governments, institutes of higher education, regional councils, and collaborations of small and mid-sized farms. So for those collaborations, we are anticipating that the lead applicant may be a business. So we will accept an application from a business of a lead applicant that has several farm operations together in a collaborative effort. So that's a little different. The project timelines are August 1st through September 30th, 2027. Funds will need to be expended by September 2027. We've been told no extensions, no modifications. CMS is the final approval of this, and they are saying do not expect any funds need to be expended or else they need to be returned to the RMC. This program does have a strict clawback feature of non-performance. So if entities do not perform under the goals and outcomes that they had anticipated, then they may be asked to repay the funds back. So other eligible expenditures, we can pay for salaries. Unlike most of the RMC programs, we usually don't fund a lot of salaries, but this one we will. So program coordinators, coordinators that are reaching out to small farms, those would be eligible, but mainly it's we're expecting equipment, vehicles, forklifts, things like that. For us, different from the other program that RMC offers, we are requiring quarterly reporting. So this does have a pretty strong reporting requirement. There'll actually be 5 reports at the end of this. And we are forward funding. So once the decision's made, the timelines are applications are due to us May 15th through our grant portal. We present those applications to the grant review board at the beginning of June. And then those recommendations are sent to CMS for approval. And then we're hoping to notify awardees mid-August, August 17th, that week of August 17th. And then from there, we'll be working on grant agreements to disperse funds. So with the goal to have funds in hand to grantees by the end of the calendar year. And then we start it all over again in November. So that's kind of all that in a nutshell. It's a lot. We've gotten a lot of interest in this program from various different groups all across the state. So we're anticipating this being very competitive. But if anybody has any questions or want to talk more about potential applications, please, either you can ask. I'm happy to answer any questions if I can, and always happy to talk to other groups outside.
Charlotte, refresh the board on the amount of this grant that you have to manage.
$1 million this project round. Overall, it'll be about $24 million.
$24 million. Good.
I'm having a little trouble hearing Charlotte. Are others having the same difficulty?
Yeah, she faded in and out there a little bit around $24 million.
Sorry, I had to shut my door. Somebody's mowing my
That's all
lawn.
right. We did say $24 million.
Over the 5-year life of the program.
Yeah.
So how much this year? 6.6 available?
That's 4.6 million.
4.6.
Yeah, and then I would mention if anybody's interested in other health, there is a current Maryland Department of Health NOFO out there for $73 million. That is related to telehealth and integrated care. And then I think MDA will be issuing a NOFO for cold storage any day now. So we've been telling folks to apply to both MDA and RMC. We can cover cold storage as well, but definitely want to encourage folks to also think about MDA's program.
And farmers are eligible to apply for the cold storage grants from MDA. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. And that is the target audience for that one.
Very good.
Very good. Well, we asked Charlotte to be on the agenda today because of the implications for our local farm food aggregation grant program. With respect to the 18 rural counties, there's potential overlap with our grant opportunity. Now, the RMC's program does not require directly the participation of certified local food and farm fish providers like we do. We require at least 4 providers as part of our grant program application process. But given the fact that Charlotte's got this opportunity on the street with May 15th deadline and then August 1st award announcements, is that what you said?
August 17th. Yeah.
August 17th. We thought it would be prudent to delay moving forward with announcing our aggregation grant program until we discuss this at the late summer board meeting to ascertain what Charlotte has learned from her applicants and her process, and to see if we need to make any modifications with our program. Now, our program is eligible statewide, including the 6 central Maryland counties that are not eligible for the RMC grant. But we thought that would be appropriate. And I think in a similar way, we want to delay rolling out our small cold storage grant program because of MDA's opportunity. And again, we can discuss that again at the August board meeting. we will be setting the budget for fiscal year 27 at the August board meeting. So it all seems appropriate to defer that discussion until then, and then we can figure out what we're going to do later in the new fiscal year. Any other questions for Charlotte or for me?
Very good. Thank you, Charlotte. Steve, if you could fill us in on your activities and the activities of the MARBIDCO staff over the last 3 months.
Well,
We
yeah,
have-
I'll just jump in and provide an update on the legislative session and the state budget. Very interesting year from a state budget perspective. As you will recall from our February meeting, the state was facing a $1.5 billion structural budget deficit, but the governor put in a balanced budget approach, which the General Assembly modified a bit, and the legislature has approved without a lot of controversy a $71 billion state budget for FY27. MARBIDCO is included in the state budget for $200,000 for our livestock and blue catfish processing grant program. So that was approved. And then why we're meeting today earlier than usual is to address the second inclusion in the state budget of $2 million for the proposed Maryland Seafood Industry Financial Assistance Fund and our program designed for aid both the oyster harvesters and now the oyster farmers potentially as well as part of that appropriation. That appropriation is contingent on the governor signing Senate Bill 558 and or House Bill 1599 into law. I did send you all a draft letter this morning requesting that the governor sign that legislation on May 12th so that we can begin the implementation of the rollout of the no-cost loan program for the oyster producers. So we'll be talking about that in a second. But basically, the second half of the session turned out to be extremely busy for us as we navigated our way through the process of getting the legislation passed and the funding approved in the budget. So all in all, a very busy session, but it turned out relatively favorably. Obviously, we wished we had a little more money than the $2 million. $5 million would have been a pretty much perfect number, but we are where we are, and we put together a plan we're going to talk about in a minute to allocate those funds to make no-cost loans to the oyster producers. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll take questions about the legislative session, and then we'll turn it over to Dr. Parker to give us an update on the shellfish aquaculture industry. All right, no questions about the General Assembly session. Then we'll move it over then to Dr. Parker to give us a brief update. He was very kind after the last Programs Committee meeting to offer to do a survey of our oyster farmers in the state to see how they were faring in light of the difficulties surrounding this steep decline in the oyster market locally. And as you all will recall from prior communications, our oyster industry suffered very significantly this year from a confluence of 4 major factors: a salmonella outbreak late last year, which scared the buyers of oysters. We had a freeze over of the bay in January, which prevented our watermen and some oyster farmers from going out to harvest oysters. We had a huge sewage spill in the Potomac River, which really scared the public about eating seafood, including oysters. And then we've had another development, which has affected the market nationally, in that you will recall several years ago, there was a major oil spill disaster in the Gulf of Mexico. And very recently, those oyster beds in the Gulf of Mexico are now able to be harvested again. And those oysters have basically flooded the market. So a confluence of four factors have led to a very steep decline in the oyster market, affecting our growers and harvesters locally in the Chesapeake Bay and the Potomac River. And I was going to say something else and I forgot it. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to Dr. Parker to give us an update on what he's learned from his survey of our oyster farmer.
Thank you, Steve. Maryland DNR has not released information on harvest from 2025 yet, or how things have been going so far in 2026. So I don't have any of those numbers, but we sent a survey out to our oyster producers and we got 16 respondents, which is probably close to about 10% of the industry. We have 150 or so individual farms out there. It was split pretty evenly between submerged land and water column leases. Overall, 69% said their sales were much worse or somewhat worse than it was the same time last year, which is what we would kind of expect given what Steve just told us about what was going on nationally. 56% said that they expected over the next few months sales would be much worse or somewhat worse than the same period last year. So they don't have a great outlook on how things are going. And the biggest things that were selected for the reported lost sales were the Potomac River sewer spill and coverage on that, and increased oysters entering the markets from other states. So even though that it's been going on for a while, it has been impacting our aquaculture industry as much as it has our wild harvest industry. Not too many people submitted or mentioned excess winter mortality. So that's good, I guess. That maybe, or they just, some of them said they don't know and they're not sure. 44% would be interested in some sort of loan assistance. Half of them said they were probably okay, and one of them said he didn't know yet. So get kind of a mixed bag on that. So overall, I don't think that the industry has a great outlook on what's going to be coming up in the next few months. I'm sure Victoria's probably heard similar things with the folks that they've spoken about. So be glad to answer any questions.
Questions for Matt or Victoria? Do you want to make any comments about what your experience both with farm raised oysters as well as the wild harvester?
Well, the wild harvest was very rough on the Western Shore, I know, and on the Eastern Shore. We heard from a lot of watermen, and it got pretty bad. They weren't being able to make their mortgages or payments or even going to the grocery store. Some of them, it was so bad. Some of them only had 2 days a week if they had that. The spill was with the news that came across the TV was just horrible with the news stations. It just really built it well out of proportion. My husband Rob had talked to let's see, who was it, environment, and they had already predicted that we were 85 miles away where our leases are, where the public bottom is, and above the nice bridge there's no oystering up there anyway, so it was never going to make it down this far, but it got across, all up and down the East Coast. It was just a horrible mess for the commercial watermen. As far as aquaculture goes, though, I must say we've been in a pretty good state with for us. We do a bushel market, and we don't harvest until April and September. It's been very, very good for us. I do believe that right now is a good time for selling aquaculture oysters if you're doing a bushel market. Now, as far as restaurants, I don't think they've ever recovered since COVID, to be honest with you. Restaurants didn't open back up. The demand for a 2.5-inch oyster is no really longer there the way that it used to be. They don't, and the young people, they don't know much about oysters. We need to get a lot of publicity and ads. And I think that Matt Scale has a budget now to go forward and try to do more with oysters to get it out there to the public. They just need to learn that they're not bad to eat. So That's about it.
Yeah, I will say that the governor did bring down an extra $350,000 or so for specifically oyster marketing at MDA Seafood Marketing's office, which basically triples their budget. Basically, they had a $170,000 budget, so now they got that additional funding. So
Yeah.
that'll be helpful. And what I forgot to say was that on February 27th, the governor requested of the federal government an emergency disaster declaration for the Chesapeake oyster fishery. And no word yet from the Department of Commerce and NOAA, which would issue the disaster declaration, as to whether that would be approved. But DNR had reported at that time that oyster harvest had declined by 44%, while the dockside values of oysters had dropped 66%.
Right.
So very steep market decline there in the value of oysters. So unless there are additional questions from Matt or Victoria, I think that leads us, Mr. Chairman, into discussing what we've been calling the Emergency Oyster Producer Loan Program, or a disaster relief program that we're hopefully going to receive $2 million to operate here beginning July 1st. And that, of course, is contingent on the governor signing the legislation of the law that creates the Maryland Seafood Industry Financial Assistance Fund under MARBIDCO. This is now the third statutorily created MARBIDCO program. I believe most of you know we have about 20 programs today. All but those three are created by you all, not by the General Assembly. But the General Assembly has given us three programs to administer, which we have supported. The Waterman's Microloan Program, the Oyster Shucking House Loan Program, and now the Maryland Seafood Industry Financial Assistance Fund. Of those three programs, the last one is the most broad in general in terms of the MARBIDCO board's ability to determine the parameters of loans and other financial assistance that might be provided through this new program. So we're going to have $2 million, cross your fingers. And the programs committee met a couple times to discuss this, first during session while the legislation was pending, and then more recently. And since that time, we've done a little more homework to try to figure out how to roll out this program. What we're doing is cobbling together various pots of money to add to the $2 million so that we can maximize the amount of emergency loan relief we can make in July to both the commercial watermen, and now we've added in an opportunity using our existing shellfish aquaculture financing fund monies, a similar or identical, basically, loan opportunity to the oyster farmers that would want and need it. So, Tina, if you'll put up the participation slide that we had discussed.
Joe, can you enable the screen sharing, please?
We had sent you a spreadsheet that illustrates how the various loan amounts would vary based on the participation by both the oyster harvesters, the commercial watermen, as well as the oyster farmers involved in shellfish aquaculture. And Tina's going to put up, oh, she's having trouble.
Yeah, they've changed it used to be you just click on a button and it says share. Oh, yeah, I can't share it. And yeah, see, look, it keeps doing that. Share? But you don't want to share my stuff. No, you just have to enable the other.
Okay. And I don't have a share button. Oh, I do have a share button now, Jill. Maybe it just came up.
Share, it says post tool for share.
We see a lovely picture of your granddaughter.
You should be able to now. Yeah, it won't let me. It says
All right,
share
let me
all
see if I can
panelists.
find it.
All panelists. Now they have three things you have to do.
Oh, hold on,
instead of
I
one.
think I got it.
We
My
had it a
apologies.
few
Here we go.
moments ago.
Voila, we're good.
There it is, freeze.
There it is. Okay.
All righty, so we have 1,124 watermen who are authorized to harvest oysters in the recently concluded oyster harvesting season by DNR. And we have another 167 watermen authorized to harvest oysters by the Potomac River Fisheries Commission. But there is significant overlap between those two groups of oyster harvesters. So we're using the estimate of 1,200 watermen who would be potentially eligible for no-cost loans from MARBIDCO under the program we're proposing that we offer. And to be eligible, a waterman would have to be in full compliance with either the DNR or the PRFC oyster harvesting regulations, which includes the submission of regular reports concerning the harvest. So for DNR, those reports are due to be submitted no later than May 14th. And DNR has agreed to provide us on May 15th a list of all of their watermen who would be eligible to receive a loan from us because they would be in full compliance with the reporting requirements. DNR believes that the upper end of a take rate on this loan opportunity is about 60%. That's their estimate. So if you look at the spreadsheet here, with the $2 million available, you can see that we could make about $3,000 in loans. But the legislature gave us the legal ability to transfer over $337,500 each from our existing Waterman's Microloan Program and the Oyster Shucking House Loan Program. So with those dollars available, plus adding in some additional MARBIDCO core program funds on a temporary basis, with a 60% participation, we think we could make $4,000 loans to the watermen. Now, is 60% the right number? We don't know. We have no way of knowing until we get applications in. And you'll see in the design document that I sent you that we're going to request that applications be received from the commercial oystermen by June 12th or postmarked by June 12th. And then by June the 18th, we will be able to actually set the actual dollar amount of a no-cost loan at that point, and then we can publicize that to folks. So in the spreadsheet you have in front of you, for example, let's say we had a 40% take rate, which is Steve McHenry's wild guess of where we'll actually land. And again, no way of knowing for sure, but that's what I'm going to say. If we landed it in this illustration at 40%, we would be able to make, with all the funds, pots of money available, we would be able to make a $6,000 loan to the commercial watermen. So, and that would be what we would offer based on the resources we have available. If Tina will scroll down just a little bit more, you'll see there for the oyster farmers, we have the ability to bring over our existing shellfish aquaculture funds that we won't need this year and that we do not believe we'll need next year. We'll be able to temporarily bring those monies over into the new seafood industry fund to be able to make loans that have to have identical terms to the loans that are being made to the commercial watermen. So using that 40% take rate of the commercial watermen with $6,000 loans, you can see there how that plays out. with the oyster farmers at various levels of participation. So on the high end, I have 80% there. We now know from Matt that's probably not going to be reached. But I was a little concerned we wouldn't have enough money in the Shellfish Aquaculture Fund to transfer over temporarily. And I'd sort of put a cap at $750,000. You can see there at $6,000, we would have enough money to be able to lend to the oyster farmers. I expect it's going to be less than that based on Matt's survey results. But you can see there in that illustration, we'll have enough money to be able to lend to the oyster farmers, very likely. So with that, what we're proposing, again, assuming the governor signs the legislation on May 12th, and I sent you a draft letter that I want you all to look at and comment on, that I will send to him after today's meeting. We would like to be able to announce the emergency disaster relief no-cost loan program for the commercial watermen on May 15th. We're suggesting a regular application deadline of June the 12th. And by the way, we have been advising people to not only get their harvest reports in by the May 14th deadline, but we're also telling folks that if you're urgently in need of funding, apply right away. And if you'd like to have the emergency loan, but you can get by for an extra few weeks, let those that really have the need go first. And then you apply, a couple weeks later, right before the deadline. We're proposing a deadline of June the 12th. And then on June the 18th, we'll announce the actual dollar amount of the loans. And then during the last week of June, by the way, this is going to really test the staff to get all this together. But by the last week of June, we will really begin serious processing, so that beginning in early July, when the funding becomes available, we would be able to begin processing checks. And it's going to take a few weeks to process all the checks, just given the mechanics of how that has to happen. So that is the plan for the commercial watermen. We are putting in a proposed late application deadline, recognizing that this is a fairly quick turnaround for folks, and people will not be getting the word as efficiently as they would like. Although DNR has offered to send the commercial watermen our announcement of this loan opportunity on May 15th. So all the commercial watermen will be receiving this announcement. We are building in a late application deadline ending on June 26th. And of course, we're going to process the applications as they come in. Victoria, you have a question.
I just wanted to say, after our conversation that we had our first conversation on that, Steve, we had our MWA meeting, Maryland Watermen's Association meeting last Thursday. And of course, we had everyone was in participation from all the watering counties and members of the MWA, that's 17 organizations. And I did explain to them about the loan, but that it hadn't actually, the governor had not signed it yet, but that it would be in effect and that you would be taking applications early on for the people that really needed it first, apps. There was a lot of interest in it. I also let them know that they had to have all their oyster reports in by May 14th, or that might knock them out of eligibility. So it's widespread through the community, and all of the board of directors, they're having meetings this month with their county organizations to put this information out as well.
Very good. Thank you, Victoria, for that information and for helping to spread the word. And so that's the plan relative to the wild oyster harvesters. And since the program committee met, well, we talked to the program committee about potentially offering something for the oyster farmers. We knew we had some funds available. We have a little over $1.2 million currently in the Shellfish Aquaculture Fund. We have $300,000 in applications currently. So we would, we're sort of projecting we would do $300,000 next year in that program. We have mapped out a cash flow analysis for that program using all funds available, and we did provide that to you. Mark, you have a question?
Yeah, just and maybe you covered this. So just for my information, the difference between an oysterman and an oyster farmer is the farmer is just planting the oyster themselves, and the oysterman is just harvesting them just from wherever in the bay.
Right.
Is that
completely different regulatory regime? Completely different, but all managed by DNR.
Gotcha.
Commercial waterman has a tidal fisheries license and then pays a surcharge to harvest oysters. And that's heavily regulated. The marine police monitor all that. With the oyster farmers, they lease land, either bottom land on an estuary in the Chesapeake Bay, or in the water column to raise and market oysters. So wild fishery versus really the farming of animals, oysters.
Gotcha.
So two
Okay,
separate
thank you.
regulatory regimes.
Thank you.
And we're able to serve both those clienteles. So we put together a program to put funds into the new Maryland Seafood Financial Assistance Fund. So we've got the $2 million. We've got this 675 rather coming from the two seafood programs that the General Assembly has authorized. We've got MARBIDCO core program funds going in the spreadsheet I sent you. I think we worked in about 6.25. And then for the oyster farmers, we have a separate bucket of money that was originally provided from state and federal funds from DNR to support shellfish aquaculture, which is oyster farming. We have a separate pot of money going into the fund as well, with 100% of those dollars going only to the oyster farmer. So a little complicated, but what that does is it allows us to make all in maybe as much as $4 million worth of loans. And the loans would be structured with 10 quarterly payments beginning in February. And for those borrowers who make the first 8 payments on time, their last 2 payments would be forgiven. So the incentive for these unsecured loans is that you make your payments on time, you get 20% forgiven at the end. And we've used this with other programs, this model and other programs, relatively successfully. There's a psychology associated with this approach that works relatively well. So what will happen is when those repayments begin to come in, we will be able to cover MARBIDCO's operating costs, administrative costs, at 7% of the funds advanced. So MARBIDCO will be made whole from an operating administrative cost perspective, and the $2 million fund will also cover the cost of not only making the loans, but will absorb the cost of providing the loan principal forgiveness at the end of the term of the loan. So at the end of the day, if 100% of the borrowers made all of their loans by the end of the fiscal 2029, we'd have a fund of $800,000 in the new seafood assistance, financial assistance fund that we could use for other things at that time. So we're able to really leverage this $2 million to basically double the amount of money we can lend out to all the oyster producers, and then make sure that we can cover our administrative expenses as well later on. And we have a cash flow analysis, which you've seen, that describes that. So that is what we're proposing. It's important to note that everybody has to have the same terms in their loans, including the wild harvesters as well as the oyster farmers. From a legal and administrative perspective, we can't have a lot of deviation. It has to be the same offering. but we from a workload perspective, we're going to go with the commercial oystermen, the wild harvesters first, help them, and then assist the oyster farmers second under the plan we proposed. So I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
I know we're running late on time here, Steve, but I have one
Okay.
question. Is it necessary to have the second application process? Have the
Well,
watermen been notified enough that they should all be able to meet that first deadline? Do we really need to put ourselves through the workload of a second round?
when you say second round, you mean the late application deadline for the wild
Yes.
oystermen?
Yes.
Well, the issue for us is we need to set the dollar amount of the loan, right? We can't do that in the abstract. We have to have real data to do that. So I just think we're going to have late filers. And I'd be curious to hear
I
others'
appreciate
opinions
your
about it.
compassion. I appreciate your compassion.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the workload.
Well, go ahead. Victoria, you have a comment.
Yes, I explained at our MWA meeting when I got to all the counties and their board of directors of their counties, I explained to them that to encourage all watermen to get the applications in once I could get the deadline out. And now that I know that it's going to be June 12th, I know that I can get that out to all of our watermen that are members of, and that's quite a few, that's thousands of people, but the people that have oyster licenses and stuff, I can get that information out to them immediately. I could probably put an email or a text message out today for that get them all in. But my suggestion is there on your application, should you have something of a higher need than, something that says I need it right now and I might be able to wait a week or so for mine later, or I don't know how you would, instead of doing, for you to come up with how much you're going to be able to put out, you need all the applications at one time, correct?
Basically, and we can handle a few stragglers, but we need to have the bulk of them in by the announced deadline.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
we will put a line or two in the application form that says if you need it urgently,
like an
apply
immediate.
immediately, and if you can wait a month,
Yeah,
wait to
that would be
closer
great.
to the deadline.
And as soon as I can get that application, I can get it out to the oystermen, to the commercial board. I know you'll have it online, but I know I'm going to have a lot of phone calls on it. And I'm sort of the point for the MWA for any kind of thing like that. And I've already told them that I'll help them in any way I can to get them done and out the door. So, and I have someone else that can help me to do that, if they have questions on how to fill something out or if they need any help with it. Because some of them don't even have computers, but I can get it out in a text message even to them, the application. So whatever I can do to help, I'm with you. And but if I can put that 12th June date out, I'd like to do that today if at all possible so that I can get ahead of it.
Well, the problem with
Once
that
the
is
governor signs it. Once the governor signs it.
once the governor signs it, that's
Yeah.
the issue. I am concerned, Victoria, and you mentioned we have watermen who don't have computers.
Yes.
And I'd hate to, turn people down because they're a couple days late. That's
Right.
that's where my head has been.
Yeah.
But I'll
Well,
go
do
with
you
the
want to
flow.
have an open, do you want to have it open like from the 12th of June to, well, if you give them longer time, they won't get in by the 12th. I can tell you that right now. So I've stressed to them that they have to have this application in as soon as you get set a date, but that's all I can do. So whatever you decide to do, I wouldn't want to leave a soul out either because a lot of people don't. There's some older fellas that they still have flip phones, believe it or not,
Yeah.
So.
Well, the issue really is, do we go with a June 12th deadline based on John's question? Do we go with a June 12th deadline and that's it? Or do we, and then we could move it back to the 18th, and that would be it. Or we could stick with the plan and then let them have another week and a half just for the stragglers to still be eligible before we cut them off completely. So, I mean, we can move the deadline from June 12th to say,
Now, knowing Waterman, Steve, you're gonna have stragglers no matter what your cutoff date is. So stick with the 12th and deal with your stragglers because you will have stragglers.
yeah,
It's inevitable that you will. So, I mean, I
Right.
know the community well enough to know that.
right. But I mean, we're going to have a hard cutoff. We're just going to call it the late cutoff.
Hmm.
John, are you okay? Or do you want to?
No, I'm okay. You know, you and Stacy and Jill, you all know how the workflow is going to go on this. I'm just cognizant of your time. I'm trying to be cognizant of your time and going through the batching of the paperwork twice. That's all. That's all. It's entirely at your discretion.
Okay.
I, I, I just don't see the need for two deadlines, but I'm easily swayed on this.
Hmm.
Well, the late deadline will be the late deadline. So Victoria will tell people that's the late. I mean, he's going to tell them
Very good.
the regular deadline, but you know.
All right. Well,
All right.
I guess I would like to make a motion that we, unless there are any other questions, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the procurement policy for this process.
Victoria, was that a second?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay.
My mic was going in and out. I'm sorry. Yes. I second it.
Mr. Chairman, I think you need to call the question.
Call the question, please. Motion to
favor?
approve.
Do you need somebody to make a motion? Oh, you're okay.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
motion's already been made and seconded. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone
All
opposed?
opposed.
Aye.
A motion passes. Sorry for that. Everything was kind of delayed a couple seconds there.
And related to this, we have a proposed letter to go to the governor to ask him to sign the bill
Right.
that you received this morning. Are you all okay with me sending that?
Yeah, it looks good to me.
It looked good
Absolutely.
to me too. Yes.
Okay, very good.
Can I just clarify on that last motion? It was John that made the motion and Victoria that seconded it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We're running a little behind schedule here, Mr. Chairman. We'll quickly go into budget updates, Tina.
You want the
You put up
summary
the-
document, Steve? Is
Yeah,
that what
the budget summary.
Okay.
All right, so here's where we are for the year so far. You can see that loan principal repayments are running ahead of what we budgeted for core loans. Specialty loans not coming in quite as well. Percentage wise, we're 3/4 of the year along. Interest income is slightly below where we'd like to be at this point, but there's still time. Program income is running ahead of budget significantly. Next gen program repayments doing very well in this category. So good news for that program, both the regular program and the SANG program. And other income, principally CD income, is doing well as well. So you can see where we are there. In terms of operating income, this is a key metric we look at. Got Stina, you map past it. You can see that we're ahead of budget there. So good news overall, I think, on the revenue generation side in terms of expenditures. You can see there. Oh, this is the proposed budget, Tina, right?
Yes, but the top part is the same. It's the
Okay.
The footnote, yep.
All right, so we are proposing to add about $20,000 overall to the FY26 budget to deal with some unexpected items. We've talked at length about the new oyster producer loan program. Going to be a significant amount of staff time involved. We're contemplating bringing on somebody for the months of June and July. Haven't made a final decision about it because you almost need to have just the right personality with the right skills, as it were. But we budgeted a little bit of money for that. Just scroll down, Tina, so we can see the green chart. And we do have some other expenses related to the new loan program. We have a portfolio license upgrade that we're going to need. That's going to cost $10,000 just for the license for the software we use for loan administration. And we also are going to be purchasing some additional laptops as part of a conversion we're doing here with our office technology. And unexpectedly, federal law has changed, and a directive from the Federal Department of Justice is requiring all states and local governments to substantially revamp their websites to be more compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. And so significant expenditure related to that as well. So all in, we're, if you go back up, you know, we're asking for a $20,000 modification in 3 categories there. And just while I'm here looking at the programmatic expenditures, you can see where we are. Core loans, a little under budget, but we're expecting to be busy here as we close out the fiscal year. We have 3 Mr. Biff loans in process. The new CAFO regulatory regime is taking effect. You remember we talked about this at the February meeting, but legislation has passed, and the Department of the Environment has recently approved the issuing of new confined animal feeding operation permits. So our poultry producers need a CAFO permit in order to build a new poultry house. So we do expect to see an uptick in business relative to our poultry loan activity. So, and you can see where we are with the other categories of programmatic expenditure. So, pretty good year. Could be a very good year depending on how the next couple of months go relative to our core and specialty loan programs as well. So that's an update as well as a suggestion, Mr. Chairman, a recommendation that we approve the additional about $20,000 in expenditures in the categories so described.
Yeah, this is Mark. I move to approve the changes to the budget.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Who seconded, please?
Phyllis.
Thank you, Phyllis.
All righty, very good. We'll move on then to the next item on the agenda, which is the update on the loan loss reserve. About the same at 2.47%, so no major change there. The average interest rate as of the end of March in the entire loan portfolio is 4.55%, which is very good. We have a benchmark of 4%, so we're doing well in that category. So good news there. And Tina also provided for you a activities report for all of our loan and grant making activity. Given the time, I'm not going to get into that at this point. So, Mr. Chairman, if we can move on to an update to our procurement policy. And I am looking for that, and I found it.
Where are we on the agenda?
We are on,
Tab 2, 1040.
1040, okay. No, we did that. Oh, yeah, we did do that. No, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. You're right, 1040, okay.
we have discovered we have a need after 19 years to update our procurement policy for inflation. And so we're proposing 4 changes, which I've highlighted for you in the procurement document. For loans requiring full and open competition, we're recommending the cost increase from $5,000 to $15,000. That's on page 3. On page 4, we're recommending that we require our Assistant Attorney General to review contracts, which you would anyway. So we think that's appropriate to memorialize here in this document. For a cost price analysis, again, we're recommending going from $5,000 to $15,000. And then finally, for a formal solicitation project for big projects, we're recommending an increase from $20,000 to $50,000. This is consistent with other state policy, by the way. So we would recommend approval of these changes to our procurement policy. We need a motion, a second, Mr. Chairman.
So move.
Second, Paul seconds.
Mary made the motion. Joe. Okay, call for the question, please. Motion to approve.
Aye.
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 All right, we provided for you in the agenda a full summary update on every program we have. Given the time, I'm not going to go over any of that unless somebody has a burning question. All righty, hearing no burning questions, we will jump over to our regular item on the agenda, which is the project acceptance report. This is the report where you memorialize all those projects that we have funded since the last board meeting. And we'll need a motion in a second.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move, Phyllis.
Second.
Paul,
Okay, call for the question, please. All those in favor? Acceptance.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
All righty. So with that, we're down now to miscellaneous updates. I want to acknowledge the long service, wonderful service of our departing board member, Sarah O'Haran, who has put in many years, over 2 tenures. We did feature her in the board newsletter recently, if you saw that. Sarah and her husband, Ed, were our first Mr. Biff Lynn recipient in 2008, I believe.
2008. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And you all have done so well with that operation, a wonderful vineyard and winery operation. I'm so sorry to hear, by the way, about the frost.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, not a great month, but hopefully we'll bounce back.
Hopefully you guys can recover from that. But want to thank you so much for everything. And Sarah actually was our board chair back in 2015. And she served on at least 3 committees as a very
I've been on a lot of committees. Yeah.
Yeah. So really want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything you've done for MARBIDCO over the years.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it. It's been great.
And we wish you and Ed all the best going forward. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you all.
So with that, Mr. Chairman, I have no other updates from me. We do have on the agenda updates from any of our partnering agencies, if anybody wants to chime in with an update. I think Steve Connolly had to step out for an appointment. And we already heard from Charlotte. So unless anybody else has any update. We are planning right now, unless you all decide differently, to schedule the next board meeting around the 1st of August. I know it's in the middle of vacation season for some folks, but that would make more sense from our perspective. So unless anybody has an objection, we'll send out a doodle poll and try to find a date that works for most people around the 1st of August. Everybody okay with that idea? All right, Mr. Chairman, then we'll go into the closed session. And we need somebody to read the motion, please. Would somebody volunteer to
volunteers
do
here?
that? And probably shouldn't be you, Mr. Chairman.
I can read it. Here we go. So I motion that we move to closed session to consider matters that concern A, proposals for a business or industrial organization to locate, expand, or remain in the state. B, to consider the investment of public funds. C, to consult with staff, consultants, and other individuals about pending or potential litigation. And D, to discuss the performance evaluation of an employee over whom this public body has jurisdiction, and to adjourn the meeting thereafter.
So do we have a motion?
That was the motion. She needs
Oh,
a
that was the
second.
motion.
I just need a second.
Second, please.
Second it.
Call for the question. All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.